Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees, please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava प्लीज आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, dear viewers. Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class. जीवा तत्व प्रभु जी रोज हमारे लिए श्रीमद् भागवतम के क्लासेस में बहुत सारे वैल्यूएबल लेसन्स लाते हैं और आपका पार्टिसिपेशन इज अ बिग इंस्पिरेशन आल्सो फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस। सो श्रीमद् भागवतम की जो चैप्टर लेवल पे लेसन्स अब प्रभु जी शेयर करेंगे, उन्हें आप ध्यान से श्रवण कीजिए और बीच बीच में प्रभु जी कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी पूछेंगे। फील फ्री टू राइट योर रेस्पॉन्सेज। और एक रिक्वेस्ट है, अपने क्वेश्चंस आप टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द क्लास ही लिखिए कमेंट्स एरिया में, नहीं तो आपके क्वेश्चंस मिस हो सकते हैं। सो थैंक यू एवरीवन। और जीवा प्रभु जी, प्लीज गो अहेड विद द क्लास।
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us in the recitation of Mangalacharana prayers. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam
Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiryet Shautam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhatsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Rutam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiti.
Hare Krishna. So today we'll be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiraṇyākṣa.
हरे कृष्णा। सो प्रभु जी, इससे पहले आप हम सबके साथ शेयर करें संस्कृत में जो वर्ड्स आप पढ़ते हैं शुरू में, और उसके बाद ट्रांसलेशन, और फिर अगर परपट शॉर्ट होता है तो आप परपट भी शेयर करते हैं, और उसके बाद हमें पूरी जो इतनी सारी वर्सेस होती हैं चैप्टर में विद बिग परपट्स, उनसे जो हमें टीचिंग्स मिलती हैं, उनका सार, उनका एसेंस आप हमें ब्रीफ में बता देते हैं। सो थैंक यू सो मच। और हमारे जो व्यूअर्स हैं, आई वांट टू रियली वेलकम देम। आज काफ़ी न्यू व्यूअर्स भी हैं, तो अगर व्यूअर्स अपने अपनी लोकेशंस भी मेंशन करेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा लगेगा। वी विल नो वेयर आर यू ऑल फ्रॉम। वरुण जी, हरे कृष्णा, नरेंद्रन जी, संतोष जी, हरि बोल सभी को, वर्षा लता जी, प्रदीप्ता कुमार जी, दीपू मोनी जी, आशा देवी जी, दुर्ग विजय जी, थम्बल टोम्बी देवी जी, हरे कृष्णा, रोशनी, मंजू, मालती, प्रदीप्ता, संजय, बैसाखी जी, रोशनी कुमारी जी, चित्रा गिडवानी जी, मंजुला पटेल, हरि बोल सभी को। बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स के नाम स्क्रॉल कर गए हैं, सभी को हमारा बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन है, प्रणाम है। और आइए अब जीव तत्व प्रभु जी हमें जो इस चैप्टर की वर्स है वो संस्कृत में पहले बताएंगे, फिर ट्रांसलेशन और परपट, एंड मीनवाइल हम आपके रेफरेंस के लिए शेयर कर देंगे इन द कमेंट्स द लिंक, जिससे कि आप वहां जाकर रेफर कर सकें। प्रभु जी, कैन आई पुट ऑन द माइक्रोफोन?
Yes, please. So the title of today's class is How to Get Out of the Miserable Conditions of Material Life. Please join us in the recitation of the first verse of Canto 3, Chapter 19, the killing of the demon Hiraṇyākṣa. Maitreya uvacha avadharya virinchasya nirvayalikam vachaha prahasya prema garbhena tadapangena sograhit. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Maitreya said, after hearing the words of Brahma, the Creator, which were free from all sinful purposes and as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rāma Rāma Rama Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. So today this particular chapter is where the demon is killed. So again, let's recap quickly. So here, the very first verse, it starts with Maitreya Uvacha. So sage Maitreya Muni, he is reciting this incident of the appearance of Varahadev to kill Hiraṇyākṣa. So again, and this is based on the inquiry of Vidurji. So who's the audience? It is Mahatma Vidur who is hearing, and he made this inquiry because he had heard that Varahadev had appeared and lifted the earth planet. But he had not heard that on one of the appearance of Varahadev, he actually killed a demon. So he had expressed his, curiosity. And there, Maitreya Muni was, he was filled with pleasure remembering that pastime, because devotees, they love to glorify the Lord, they love to remember his pastimes. Name, form, activity of pastimes, this is our Smaranam, constant Vishnu Smaranam. So again, and it comes through proper hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 5 most potent forms include the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. And here in this particular chapter, we continue. So again, what has happened? Maitreya Muni is telling what he has heard from his spiritual master, right? So it is coming in a parampara, disciplic succession. That is very important. जो भी नॉलेज आ रही है, हमको जो भी शिक्षा मिलती है, वो हमें परंपरा के थ्रू ही मिल रही है. एक गुरु से दूसरे गुरु, जो शिष्य हैं वो बाद में गुरु बन जाते हैं, उसके बाद में उनके जो शिष्य हैं वो उनसे सीखते हैं जब नॉलेज मिलती है. एंड ऑल ऑफ देम व्हेन वी गेट, बिकॉज लॉर्ड कृष्ण भगवद गीता में क्या कहते हैं? एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम इमं राजस्यो विदुः, राइट? So this knowledge is accepted in parampara, in disciplic succession, and we have talked about कि 4 disciplic succession होती है, 4 परंपराएं हैं. एक है ब्रह्म संप्रदाय, तो ये संप्रदाय की तरफ की जाती है. ब्रह्म संप्रदाय है, रुद्र संप्रदाय है, कुमार संप्रदाय है, श्री संप्रदाय. So ब्रह्म संप्रदाय coming from Lord Brahma, रुद्र संप्रदाय coming from Lord Shiva, and कुमार संप्रदाय coming from the Chatur Kumaras, and then श्री संप्रदाय कमिंग फ्रॉम गॉडेस लक्ष्मी. तो जो हम परंपरा में ये ले रहे हैं नॉलेज, हम लोग सुनते हैं अपने गुरु से बिल्कुल आदर भाव से समझने के लिए, दैट लॉर्ड इज सो मर्सीफुल. एंड व्हाट आर हिज रीजंस फॉर डिसेंडिंग टू दिस वर्ल्ड? 3 मेन रीजंस. लॉर्ड सेज परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. भगवान कृष्ण बता रहे हैं भगवद गीता में अर्जुन को कि there are 3 reasons of his appearance in this material world. One is paritranaya sadhanam, to protect the devotees, right? Sadhus. Sadhus are one who are sadhua, who are surrendered to his lotus feet. And vinashaya cha dushkritam, और दुष्टों का नाश करने के लिए, विनाश करने के लिए. Nash is like destroying, but vinash is like, thunderbolt destroying, or dharma sansthapanarthaya, to establish the principles of religion, not just religion, but principles of religion. This is particular aspect. The third aspect is very important, because बहुत से बार लोग बोलते हैं धर्म संकट में पड़ गया है. धर्म संकट में नहीं पड़ सकता है, लोग संकट में पड़ जाते हैं जब वो धर्म को भूल जाते हैं. क्योंकि हमारा असली धर्म क्या है? जीवेरा स्वरूप हो या कृष्णेरा नित्यदास, राइट? हम we are all eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. We are all living entities, jivas, and we are eternal servant. That is our true dharma of the soul, constitutional position. So that wo ho gaya sanatan dharma. Swadharma is prescribed duties. That is because of the body that we get, which is under the 3 modes of material nature being influenced, right? Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and Sattva Guna. So mode of goodness is Sattva Guna, Rajoguna is mode of passion, and Tamoguna is mode of ignorance. So again, from these three modes, the body is under the influence. And when we engage in hearing the transcendental glories of the name, form, activities, pastimes of the Lord, जब हम भगवान की कीर्ति करते हैं, जब हम भगवान को के नेम फॉर्म एक्टिविटीज पास टाइम्स को याद करते हैं, उनको सुनते हैं, so we transcend the three modes of material nature, right? तो हम इन गुड़ा also means ropes, हम उनके क्लचेस से निकल के आध्यात्मिक जगत में पहुंच जाते हैं. So sometimes people say, well, we are in this material world, what can we do? No, we are spiritual beings, we need not have material experience. When we engage in the chanting, glorifying and hearing and remembering the pastimes of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, then we are in transcendental world. We are not having material experiences, we are having transcendental experiences. So ऐसे में sometimes people refer कि Jai Vijay, they were cursed, and so Hiraṇyākṣa, he was going around winning all directions. हमने last to last chapter में पढ़ा था 17 में. In 18th chapter, finally, by the help of Devashi Narad, he came to know where he can find Vishnu to fight, because Varun ji ने कहा था कि there is one warrior you should fight, whether he is perfect for you. You should challenge him. Who? Lord Vishnu. So he asked Devashi Narad. So this is, Devashi Narad is also serving. And Hiraṇyākṣa is like looking for a combatant to fight with. So this is a demonic mindset. People, they take on these challenges which are frivolous challenges. So we get amazing lessons from the example of Hiraṇyākṣa, who is being influenced by Yogamaya, because this is none other than Vijay, one of the doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, and he, under the influence of Yogamaya, he has forgotten his true nature, and being influenced, he is acting as a demon, and demons are all about that I am this body, and I am the Lord of all that are pervades, and I will defeat everyone, I will be the most glorious, I will have name, fame and glories. And they even deride God. They say there is no God, and if there was one, he has run away. Sometimes they even say that. And they deride the laws of nature, the laws laid down by Lord himself. But that does not mean that things don't work the way Lord has established them. One example we discuss is, just because somebody says, I don't accept the fire burns, doesn't mean if he puts his hand in fire, it will not burn. They will do tricks. So this is Mayavi nature. People, to fool people that yes, my hand will not burn, because they will put some coating or something so that it is insulated, from the heat effect, heating effect of fire. And general populace, they are just bewildered all the time. Innocent populace, they, generally people, they are very innocent by nature. And so if somebody shows some mystical, things appearing from the air, they get, oh, this is very powerful. Not realizing that actually these are all Nashwa things that they are producing. Real, once again, Srila Prabhupada, he came to know that there's a magician he's visiting. So, Srila Prabhupada asked the disciples, why don't you bring him to my room? So again, the magician came, and he was, producing different color feathers. We see the magicians doing that. Basically, it's a sleight of hand. They do this trick. But in reality, there is no miracle behind it, or there is no, real happening. They're just manipulating the material objects. So he was showing that, he's taking out a coin from behind the ear of Srila Prabhupada doing this, and everyone's laughing. Now some disciples were feeling embarrassed that, he's making fun of Srila Prabhupada by doing this kind of action. And then finally he shows that, he can, make the money go away, walk away, so the coin would roll away. So Srila Prabhupada said, you can make it go away, but can you bring it back? He says, no, I cannot do that. Srila Prabhupada then say, so this Jan, life and death, again, Jan Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, can you cure this? The magician said, no, I cannot cure this. Srila Prabhupada said, but I can. And he had a big smile, because that is true miracle, right? We are in this material world suffering. So how to get out of these miseries? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanudarshanam, right? And we also talk about the three categories of miseries that are there. One is Adi Bhautik, second is Adi Daivik, third is Adhyatmik. So Adi Bhautik is coming from other living entities. So when we interact with other living entities, they may say, they may do the actions, that they may have good intention, but we may not know, but we'll see the impact on us, right? If they have acted in favor of us, then everything is good, we are happy. And if they have acted against us, because of material consciousness, we feel that the person is giving me trouble. In reality, they are just doing what they're supposed to be doing. It is our karmas that are causing it, but at the same time, this is Adi Bhautik, coming from other living entities. And then Adi Devik is like natural disturbances, tsunamis, floods, earthquakes. These are from the demigods because of their influence. Adi Devik, natural disturbances. And then Adhyatmik. Adhyatmik is from one's own mind. One is facing all kind of anxieties and miseries. Now, if you pay attention, external factors are only Adi Bhautik and Adi Devik. But this Adhyatmik by one's own mind is the biggest one. Because 99.999 times it is Adhyatmik misery by one's own. So basically we are internally burning ourselves, right? चिंता चिता के समान होती है. हम लोगों ने सब में पढ़ा है स्कूल में. तो चिंता और चिता में केवल एक बिंदी का फर्क है, राइट? ये हमने तो 8वीं कक्षा में पढ़ा था. लेकिन वो जो चिता होती है, the funeral pyre that burns the body, जब हम बॉडी को छोड़ के जा चुके होते हैं. लेकिन चिंता हमें जीते जी जलाती है, right? It is burning us when we are still in this body. So it is more dangerous, and this is happening because of our own thinking, our own mind, adhyatmics again. So we should be very, very careful not let our mind act in this manner. And anytime we are anxious, we should calm it down simply by taking to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So here, now the very interesting thing is, when Hiraṇyākṣa finds Lord Varahadev, he has lifted the earth. As we can see in this picture, Lord Varahadev, he places the earth on the water. So previously earth it had sunk to the bottom of the ocean, Garbhodak ocean. But now Lord passed on his potency, so now the earth is floating on the waters. And Hiraṇyākṣa is calling him various ill names. And even though they are piercing his heart, like sharp arrows, like spears, he was still more focused on giving fearlessness, assurance, and protection to Mother Earth, Prithvi ko, Bhumi ko, अच्छी तरह से पहले he places it on top, and then they have a minor conversation where Lord, basically Hiraṇyākṣa is saying that I will, kill you, and I will, destroy you. So you will not be here. So Lord, we all understand that he is sarvavyapi. He cannot be driven out of a place, and on top of that, he cannot ever be killed. But this is a demoniac thinking. They think that just by creating such scenarios, and we also learned about how demons think. When there is person they want to win over, first they defame the person, right? That's the first thing. And in news, we see this happening all the time because these reporters many times don't have any spiritual foundation, and they just get bewildered and they start speaking whatever comes in their mind, speculating, right? So this is mental speculator sometimes happens. It would be very helpful if they take to spiritual life so that they understand things in right perspective and make peace as their main mission. Instead of running for TRP, they should seek to spread love instead of hatred. Because the more you hear about something, the more it spreads. Hare Krishna. So here, this particular chapter starts with Lord Brahma, he is worshipping. So as they are fighting, Lord Brahma is singing prayers, and he is in the company of other demigods, Prajapatis and Rishis. And Lord, when he hears, what is Lord Brahma saying? That Lord, don't play, just like children play with snake before killing it, and no one is unhappy when a snake is killed. Now when this particular incident is being said, there is an incident in Srila Prabhupada himself. He had taken to devotional service. After initiation, he had a doubt. And so this doubt is very important for us to understand. Basically what happened is, once when Srila Prabhupada, he was visiting, Gauriya Math, and at that time, somebody found a snake. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was on the second floor on the terrace, he said, kill it. And Srila Prabhupada, he had a doubt, how could my spiritual master would sanction killing of another living entity? So he had this doubt, and later on when he referred to the Shastra scriptures, that doubt was removed. Because a snake is envious by nature, it always causes pain to others, so no one is unhappy when a snake is killed. When he understood the perspective, then he understood, oh, there is a reason behind everything, right? So even Lord Brahma is praying that don't play with this, demon like children play with snake before killing it. Just kill it immediately. So Lord, he starts heartily laughing. So he is laughing, and again, in this particular, in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a summary, right? It's Vedanta Sutra. So again, it's a commentary by Srila Vyasadeva, so not much description is given. But this is also the secondary rasa that Lord has come to enjoy. So again, one of the questions that was raised last time is like, okay, what are the first primary 5 rasas, and what are the secondary rasas, the secondary 7 rasas? So we talked about those last time. So we all understand the 5 primary rasas, Shantaras, which is in neutrality, right? So everything has consciousness in the spiritual world. So a stone or a grass, blade of grass that is there is also conscious, but it's in Shantara. So when Lord Kṛṣṇa touches it, then it derives transcendental bliss, but it's neutral, So again, on its own, it doesn't do anything. So what's the next level when somebody does something? That is servitude. So the second is, as a servant, one serves. And Sahastra Shatra, Lakshmi Sahastra Shatras Sevyamanam. So again, there are hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis, they are serving the Lord as servants. So that is servitude. In Vaikuntha planets, most of the living entities are in this mood of servitude. Even Goddess Lakshmi is serving. Even though she is consort, she is always anxious to serve Lord Vishnu. Now above that comes, now we are going to Goloka, Vrindavan area, right? So in Vrindavan we see there is Vatsalya Rasa, that Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai and the elderly cowherd ladies and the cowherd men, they all have this parenthood relationship, right? They are acting like parents, and they are, loving Lord Kṛṣṇa, and Lord Kṛṣṇa agrees to become, their nephews, their son, and so in this way they are interacting with him. And another one is, Sakhya Rasa, as friends, the Gopa boys, they are playing with Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So they are in a friendship, right? That's the 4th. And 5th is Madhurya Rasa, which is a conjugal love. So the gopis and of 16,108, the top 108 are considered prime, and of them 8 are considered prime, and then the top 2, and then the topmost is Radharani. Radharani's name comes from Aradhita. Radhita means the topmost worshipper. So again, Radha means the topmost worshipper of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. And she is also his internal potency, Haladini Shakti, pleasure potency. So here when Lord Brahma is praying in this manner, so again, what are the secondary rasas, 7 secondary rasas? And these, so the first is Raudra, anger. And we can understand that when Arjun, when Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying, Mayam Smaran Yuddhacha, Arjun, get up, remembering me, fight. So one has to employ one's anger in fighting, use Krodh, Raudra. Then Adbhuta, which is like wondering, astonishment. So that is also, one wonders, wow, Lord does this. So when Lord places the planet Earth, Bhumi, on the waters, Lord Brahma as well as Hiraṇyākṣa were all amazed. And the demigods showered flowers on Lord Varahadev, because it doesn't matter that which form he appears in, he is always transcendental. And then is the Shringar, so again that's there. Hasya, comedy is also there, yes. So comedy is like, where, Lord is joking with his friends. Lord Kṛṣṇa, he is, doing various loving, sweet pastimes in Golok Vrindavan. Once he says, oh lady, you are so old and ugly, no one will marry you. Then she says, no, Kṛṣṇa, I will marry you. And all the gopis, they start clapping, yes, 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 Kṛṣṇa, she will marry you. And Kṛṣṇa is, laughing at this, and all the gopis are laughing. So that is comedy. And then Veer, chivalry, fighting. So this is what Hiraṇyākṣa is doing. This is the feel, the mood, one of the feelings that Jai Vijay had as doorkeepers. They wanted to fight with the Lord, but in Vaikuntha, everyone is serving Lord. You cannot fight. So Lord sends his devotees to this material world, and also to show us that yes, he comes to the material world to kill the demons. But then he's not going to fight the demons of current times. He sends his agents at times. Mahamaya, she carries out on his behalf, or many of his agents, they come and take care of the kind of demons we see in current times. But these are his devotees who are appearing, who are equipped to fight under the influence of Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. So that's why Hiraṇyākṣa has won all directions and he's fighting with the Lord. So he has this Veer Bhav, right, with that. And then there is Daya, mercy, that's another one. So again, these are important ones that we see again. Bibhatsa, which is like a shocked state. One's get not just astonished, one gets shocked. So that's also. And then there is Bhayanak, horror. That is also one of the secondary rasas. So we have to understand that these secondary rasas are also that Lord wants to enjoy. But many of these rasas, like anger, Veera, he cannot do it in Vaikuntha, where he is being served, he is the Supreme Master. So it is in Mrityuloka, in the material world, that where he sends his devotees and he engages in the mock fight. Yet at the same time, they're really fighting, and Lord is enjoying it, this fighting. Just like Charon and Vishtika, when they were fighting with Kṛṣṇa and Balaram, the sweat was appearing with knees to knees clenched in, with arms to arms clenched in, with shoulder to shoulder they are wrestling. So Lord is enjoying this mood. So again, here Hiraṇyākṣa is fighting with the Lord, and Lord Brahma is praying, just in between as they are fighting. So he looks at Lord Brahma, he understands Lord Brahma wants to dispose of this demon soon, and he laughs heartily, and he accepts with a loving glance he is paying to his devotees. Now when this happens, devotees feel very nice, right? But at the same time, Lord is laughing because he also tests his devotees, right? And this is where I felt like I'm about to sneeze. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So this is where, the devotees are pleased that yes, Lord has accepted my prayer. He's going to kill them. What's the next thing that happens? In the second translation, if you pay attention to the third verse, you realize that the second translation, whoever translated it, made incorrect context. So the position is switched. It was Hiraṇyākṣa who was already fighting. He did not know that Lord Varahadev was going to start looking somewhere else and start having some other interaction. In the middle of fight, you don't expect your opponent to do that. You are in the middle of a fighting. You are fully, there's blood coming out of your body, there's blood coming out of the other body. Both of the competitors, they want to win. And they're in this fight, and suddenly one competitor turns the face to talk to someone else. Well, this person doesn't know, so he attacks without realizing that you have looked somewhere else. So Hiraṇyākṣa had thrown his club at the Lord. And so the club hits the Lord so that his Lord's club, Kamadaki Gada, it goes flying. So in this particular case, it is shown that Lord was completely unarmed. And looking at his conditions, again, in the Puranas it's given that the demigods were fearful. They were like, oh, he was about to kill the demon, and now the demon has unarmed the Lord, and he is holding his club, his mace, and he could attack. And now, seeing that the opponent is without the mace, Hiraṇyākṣa resisted. He did not attack, because that's a law of single combatant, that you don't attack an unarmed person. And when Lord observed that yes, the demon is not attacking and waiting for him to pick up his Kamadaki Gada, he really appreciated it. He understood that yes, Jai Vijay, when they have this feeling of chivalrous, that rasa, right, Veer rasa, when they want to taste it, and they want Lord to also taste it, and Lord wants to taste it. He is appreciative of this mood that this demon Hiraṇyākṣa, one of my doorkeepers appearing as this demon, did not attack me. So the laws of single competence should be honored, not like the current demons. His Grace Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he says that today we have, in the name of Army, Navy and Air Force, many of the soldiers that are there, they are like freaked out Shudras. They are just like hiding and just attacking, and by hook or crook they want to win. That's not a Kshatriya feeling. That is manipulative, demoniac feeling. If we are Kshatriyas, we should be going face to face. And now tit for tat is happening. So everyone, they fall down, so you fall down, and they further fall down, so you further fall down. The whole Veeras has diminished in current times. It has stayed in the songs and others, but the real Veer which we see is the weekend warriors, when the devotees, they go out in this material world, directly having a combatant with Maya, right? Because materialist people, they don't like devotees doing Sankirtan. His Holiness, His Grace Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he was doing his PhD back in the university, and he used to see these devotees going on Sankirtan, and he would say, well, I would never do that. I would never go out on Sankirtan. Before he knew, and then he read Shri Ishopanishad, just 18 verses, and he was transformed. So again, great scholars, they are honest in their heart, and when they see something that is genuine, something that is deep, something that has substance, they realize it, they don't deny it, and so they take to it. Here, the demon and Lord Varahadev, they are fighting. And Lord Varahadev, even though his glove went flying, it was, it was revolving and it was looking splendorous. It was beautifully glowing. अच्छा, वराहदेव के हाथ से जब गदा छूट गई है, हिरण्याक्ष ने अटैक नहीं किया, because that is the law of fighters. So Lord, he invoked his Sudarshan Chakra. Now, as soon as Lord invoked his Sudarshan Chakra, one of the demoniac tendency becomes visible. At this time, Hiraṇyākṣa is repenting. Why did he not attack? Right? This is a demonic mindset. So we learn a lot of lessons how demons think. If they followed a law that acted against them, then they don't like the law. So had he received another chance, he would not have stopped himself. That's what we are learning. The demons, they see that something did not work because they followed the law, then they break the law. Because they say, it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to follow it. And they continue to attack the other party by hook or crook to win. Not to have the Veeras, it's not that at that point. Yet at the same time, Lord, he invoked his Sudarshan Chakra. अब जब भगवान सुदर्शन चक्र इन्वोक कर देते हैं, तो of course there is a very nice aspect is given that the demon, he is attacking, right? So actually, at this particular point, when he attacks the Lord, first he is attacking with the gada. He throws his mace, जो गदा है भगवान की तरफ फेंकता है, तो बहुत, he goes at a height and then he throws. So again, demons have many of the siddhis, so they can fly in the air. Could be gadgets, I do not know. So again, and he throws the mace. So from a height, somebody attacks, everyone knows who is above altitude-wise, has an advantage. So he takes himself in an advantageous position, then he attacks. And Lord, he simply kicks his mace with his left foot and asks the demon to try again, right? Because the demon was saying, you are slain. Okay, try again. So he throws the gada second time. And Lord very nicely, easily picks it, catches it. Just like Garun, he catches a snake, right? So with that ease, with that expertise, he simply catches it and asks him to take it back, to attack again. Now this time, Hiraṇyākṣa is feeling shame, right? He's feeling like, I attacked twice. And the second time, he actually caught my gada and he was to give my gada back to me. I'm not going to take it from my enemy. मैं अपने शत्रु से क्यों लूँगा? So he's feeling reluctant. At this time, he picks up a trident and he attacks the Lord with the trident. And Lord, he throws his Sudarshan Chakra. अब जब सुदर्शन चक्र ट्राइडेंट से मीट करता है, he breaks the trident into thousands of parts, pierces through it and completely destroys the trident. And now Hiraṇyākṣa, he is shocked. He is now understanding that, and till now, until Lord invoked the Sudarshan Chakra, all the demigods who were like thinking that, oh, this has gone the other way, the demon would be winning. So this is where Lord tests the devotees. जब हमारी लाइफ में कुछ रिवर्सल्स होते हैं, so we think, how could Lord Krishna do this? Right? Similarly, यहाँ पे भी रिवर्सल हुआ. उनको लगा कि भगवान के हाथ से गदा छूट गई, अब ऐसे में क्या होगा? So these reversals are literally to test our faith. How much faith do we have? Are we still engaged in our devotional service with the same mood, with the same surrender, or are we ready to change the party? Right? That is an important aspect. Sometimes people, they don't have enough faith, they have not engaged in devotional service, they quickly change the party. They say, wait a minute, devotees ke saath rehne se kuch nahi hota hai, because see how they are suffering. They don't realize that devotees may appear to be suffering, but in reality they are getting purified, right? Even gold gets purification when it's burnt on fire. So again, it is on fire, gold gets higher purity. तो सोना की जो होता है ना प्योरिटी, वो बर्न करने से आती है. तो ऐसे में हमें समझना चाहिए that life में to purify yourself, you have to make an endeavor, and yes, there may be some difficulties, but the difficulties are only externally. Anatho pashmam sakshat bhakti yoga madokshage lokasya jananto vidvam chakre satvata samhitam. So all these material miseries that are happening outside, there is anatho pashmam sakshat. They are only superfluous to us. They don't really affect the living entities that we are. They are external to the body and other related circumstances related to the body. And people don't know this. Lokasya ajananto. General populace does not know this secret. इसीलिए विद्वान चक्रे सात्वत संहिता. That is why Vidwan is Srila Vyasdev, Shri Krishna Dvaipanya Vyasdev. He has compiled Srimad Bhagavatam so that we understand this knowledge, that what is for our benefit and what is superfluous to us. And we can have that strong faith in the reversals of our life, so we stay strong on our path and we continue to glorify the Lord. And any time there is reversal happening, we remember the Lord and chant Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So here we are hearing as how किस तरह से हिरण्याक्ष वराहदेव में युद्ध हो रहा है, और अब सुदर्शन इन्वोक कर दिया उन्होंने. सुदर्शन मीन्स ब्यूटीफुल विजन. So Sudarshan is, making everything very clear. And just like demons, they are also called Mayavis because they use various kind of illusory energies, right? Illusory ways to bewilder their opponents, right? And this particular world we also see similarly. Politics is another name of this illusion. They create, political scenarios to defame the other party and then they hang them. So this is a very common scenario, and many times people do this. Nityananda Prabhu, again, he is none other than Lord Balaram, and his descendants, somewhere in the line, they started saying that they can only be Goswami. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, so he opposed this, that it is not a title for the family, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It is not by birth, it is by one's nature and one's activity. So he opposed this. So that's why he was also called Simha Guru. He opposed this to remove this caste system, this way of destroying the human society. It is actually a demonic propensity that causes this kind of mindset. And this demonic mentality is what we want to get rid of, to understand it properly. We are saying that, see, Hiraṇyākṣa, Kashyapa, these were demons. They were actually sons of Kashyapa Muni and Diti. Now, Kashyapa Muni is a devotee of Lord Shiva, and he worships Lord Shiva as a devotee of Lord Krishna with the right perspective, right? And he is son of Marichi. Marichi is born from the mind of Lord Brahma. And he knows that Lord Brahma is a devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So again, with the right understanding, Abhi Nav Durga hai, right? So we are all worshipping Goddess Durga. Durga means the superintendent of a Durg, right? So what is this Durg? This material world is that Durg. She is also glorified by another name, Vaishno Devi. Do you know the meaning of Vaishno Devi? Vaishno Devi means a devotee, a she devotee of Lord Vishnu. So she is a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Lord Kṛṣṇa. And similarly, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Of all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva, Shambhu, Bholenathji, he is the topmost Vaishnava. And so she, being a devotee of Lord Vishnu, she always is, as Parvati. So again, when she is appearing as Shatrani, ready to fight, then Parvati is known as Durga. So again, she is always eager to hear the glories of Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Vishnu from her husband, Lord Shiva. And let's talk about their family again. Sometimes people say, wow, what a family Mahadev has. His wife, she is, a great devotee. She is glorified as Vaishno Devi. All the materialist people, they worship her, but many times they worship her to get something from her, right? She is the superintendent of this material universe, so anything you want in this material universe, you can get from her. But does it please her? What pleases her? When she hears the glories of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And she has one very important job. And it is a thankless job, because many times people, they say that why is she doing this, right? Because she is doing her job so expertly so that she can make sure that a non-devotee does not pass out as a devotee. She is constantly testing everyone to make sure that a non-devotee does not pass out. That's why devotees face extra tribulation in their life. And people, they become afraid, saying that, oh, devotees are suffering. No, devotees are not suffering. They're just passing those tests that, Goddess Durga or Parvati ji, she is putting in front of them. And in reality, abhi Navratri chal rahi hai, right? So we are all remembering her. And Lord Shiva's son, Lord Ganesh, he is a great devotee of Nrsimhadev. So in Brahma Samhita we hear as how by worshipping Nrsimhadev, by satisfying Lord Nrsimhadev, he gets the potency, he gets this blessing that he can destroy all kind of, troubles. He can remove all kind of roadblocks from the life of devotees. Now this is very important. That's why Vigna Vinashan, he is also known as Vigna Vinashak. So again, if there are any disturbances or any Vigna, any roadblocks in our way, then he destroys them. So again, and we also talk about Kartikeya, right? Kartikeya, as we will hear, is an expansion. Again, further, Pradyumnas and others expansions are there. So again, there are many combinations. So again, and he's also coming with a mood of Balaram, like in a servitor mood. So he's always serving his parents, especially his father. And Ganesh is especially, dear to his mother, of course to his father, because he is Nrsimhadev's devotee, but he is also very dear to his mother mainly, right? And if we know Ganesh's story, we would know and we will understand why. And sometimes people say this, family is amazing because there is a peacock, and peacock is an enemy of snake, and at the same time the mouse, and snake, they are enemies, and these are the Vahans. Ganesh's Vahan is Musak, which is a mouse, while Lord Shiva has snakes on around his neck and his arms, and Kartikeya is flying on a peacock, and Parvati ji, when she takes the Shatrani form Durga Devi, she is on a tiger. So again, and similarly we see even in Vaikuntha, from that perspective, we have Garudji who kills, who eats snakes, and Lord is resting on Anantashesh, right there. So here we hear some amazing aspects where, and Ram Navami is coming, and Lord Ram, he also appears to kill the demon Ravan. So his birth is being glorified as Ram Navami, and we all celebrate, right? Ayodhya Vasi Ram, Ram Ram, Dashrath Nandan Ram, Ram Ram, Ayodhyavasi Ram, Ram Ram, Dashrath Nandana Ram, Ram Ram. So we hear, and Acharyas, especially Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that we should hear about the killing of demons, these pastimes, with same enthusiasm as we hear other pastimes of Lord. Sometimes people are so much eager to hear about the Rasa Leela pastimes, but these pastimes are like setting the foundation for those pastimes. So we get so much benefit. When a materialist hears that Lord destroys demons, then they are going through so many miseries in their life, right? So for those tribulations, they take shelter of Lord. When devotees hear that Lord destroys all kind of challenges in life, we become more sheltered. And some advanced level, little advanced level, we understand that actually this demon was a doorkeeper of Lord. He was a pure devotee of Lord. He is a pure devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So again, Lord wants to enjoy Veeras with him. So we enjoy it even more that Lord and his devotee, they are fighting with each other. It's like a father and son fighting in a mock fight. But father is really deriving pleasure when fighting with the child. He can defeat the child in an instant. But he's enjoying this, nice fighting, like a mock fight. And sometimes child, he's really fighting and both of them come in very strong force. The child actually is hitting his father and the father is feeling that the, beating from the child is like flowers being thrown to the father. So this is Veeras. They are enjoying. So Lord Varahadev is fighting with Hiraṇyākṣa with that mood, and when they are fighting at this particular time, what happens is, when his Trishul is destroyed, he starts, creating his illusory power. And before that, he actually hits with his fist on Lord Varahadev's chest. So when he hits, so there is, Shivatsa, the white curly hair on his chest. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that this is what differentiates the forearm form of various associates of Lord and Vaikuntha from Lord himself. Because Lord is carrying Kaustubha mani in his neck, he's wearing that, and he has Shivatsa. This is where goddess of Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi, goddess of fortune, she resides. And so he hits him on his chest and then suddenly he disappears. And he is using all his delusion. There's like many kind of weapons being thrown from the mountain peaks. The sky is raining pus, bone, blood, all kind of abominable things are falling from the sky. This is only to bewilder the opponent. So yes, various kind of delusions demons use. And today's time, as we talked about, politics is another one. And they use religion all the time to drive their political agendas through. So we see this time and again. And general populace is so unfortunate. They get bewildered by these politicians and they engage in hatred, the message of hatred, not the message of love that we are saying, that a father and son are fighting like that and they are enjoying. So again, here Hiraṇyākṣa is using things that he is not supposed to be using. This shows us the demonic propensities and we should be very careful not to be bewildered. And so here, afterwards, Lord, he dispatches his Sudarshan and Sudarshan makes all the things clearly visible. So many times, many siddhis, right, and demons, they use their, power to create such delusions, but all these delusions are destroyed, just like when Durvasa Muni and Amrish Maharaj incident happened. So Amrish Maharaj was, observing his Ekadashi. Durvasa Muni appeared. So he was about to break his fast. So Amrish Maharaj अपना व्रत तोड़ने वाले थे द्वादशी पे, उसी समय ये दुर्वासा मुनि आ गए. तो दुर्वासा मुनि को देख के उन्होंने दुर्वासा मुनि को आदर सत्कार के साथ बैठाया. इससे पहले भोजन के लिए उनको पूछते, बोलते हैं मैं नहा के आता हूँ. अब वो नहाने गए, इस बीच में मुहूर्त जा रहा था. तो अमरीश महाराज ने कहा अपने ब्राह्मण जो ऋषि और गुरु से पूछा कि मैं क्या करूँ, अगर मैं नहीं ऑब्जर्व करूँगा तो ये तो अनर्थ हो जाएगा, भगवान को खुश करना चाहिए ना, तो भगवान को दुखी नहीं कर सकते. सो उन्होंने कहा आप पानी पी लीजिए, आप एक घुट पानी पिएंगे तो पानी पीने से व्रत टूटता भी है और नहीं भी टूटता है. तो उन्होंने एज पर द इंस्ट्रक्शन, जैसा उन्होंने इंस्ट्रक्शन सुना तो उन्होंने पानी का घूंट ले लिया. तो उस तरह से उन्होंने अपना व्रत अच्छी तरह से ऑब्जर्व करके उसको ब्रेक करने का सोच के किया। अब जब दुर्वासा मुनि आए तो उन्होंने देखा अच्छा अम्बरीश महाराज ने मेरा वेट नहीं किया, ही हैज़ ब्रोकन हिज फास्ट, तो वो गुस्सा हो गए। अब वो दुर्वासा मुनि पार्शियल एक्सपेंशन किनके हैं? शंभू जी के। उन्होंने अपनी एक जटा तोड़ी, जमीन पे फेंकी, एक राक्षस आ गया, बोला कि जो अम्बरीश महाराज है ही इज अ ढोंगी, ही एक्ट्स लाइक अ डिवोटी, उसको डिस्ट्रॉय कर दो। नाउ अम्बरीश महाराज इज सिंपली सरेंडर्ड एंड रिमेंबर्ड लॉर्ड विष्णु। So even if the last moment comes, a devotee simply surrenders and remembers the Lord. तो ऐसे में जब वो स्नान के बाद जब उन्होंने इस तरह से अटैक कर दिया, तो जब क्रोधित हो गए तो उन्होंने इस तरह से एक राक्षस प्रकट किया, और वो जो राक्षस जैसे अम्बरीश महाराज के पास आया तो सुदर्शन आ गया। सुदर्शन ने इमीडिएटली राक्षस को किल कर दिया। तो लेकिन सुदर्शन इज नॉट जस्ट नोन फॉर दैट, सुदर्शन इज नोन टू डिस्ट्रॉय द रूट कॉज। एंड हुज द रूट कॉज, हुज द कॉज ऑफ दिस? ये राक्षस के आने का क्या कारण था? दुर्वासा मुनि। तो सुदर्शन चक्र दुर्वासा मुनि के पीछे लगा। अब दुर्वासा मुनि इज सच अ सिद्ध, ही इज रनिंग टू हेवनली प्लैनेट्स, ही इज रनिंग इन द स्काई। सुदर्शन के पीछे हेवनली स्काई में इंद्र बाकी डेमिगॉड्स कुछ नहीं कर सकते, उनके पीछे लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा जी के पास जा रहे हैं। ब्रह्मा बोलते हैं मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, ये तो भगवान विष्णु का है वेपन। तो शंभू के पास जा रहे हैं, वो भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते। वैकुंठ जा रहे हैं, भगवान विष्णु से बोलते हैं प्लीज अपने सुदर्शन चक्र को रोकिए। बोलते हैं आई एम कंप्लीटली अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ माई डिवोटी। भक्त परायण, राइट, ही इज कंप्लीटली अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ हिज डिवोटी। लॉर्ड इज रिवीलिंग। बोलते हैं तुमने ऑफेंड किया है किसको? अम्बरीश महाराज को। यू हैव टू गो एंड आस्क फॉर फॉरगिवनेस। दुर्वासा मुनि दौड़ते हुए वापस आ रहे हैं अम्बरीश महाराज के साथ। पूरा 1 साल निकल चुका है और अम्बरीश महाराज ने अब पूरा 1 साल तक कुछ भी नहीं खाया है, क्योंकि वो अपने जो मेहमान हैं उनका आदर सत्कार करना चाहते हैं। और आके वो अम्बरीश महाराज के पाँव में गिर जाते हैं। दिस इज अ प्रूफ इन द शास्त्रास, आचार्य से वेद, दैट अ वैष्णव इज हायर देन अ ब्राह्मण। A Vaishnava, a devotee, a bhakta is much greater than any mystical yogi in the world. And a bhakta is always meek, always humble, always tolerant, and jubilant in serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. Right? While a yogi can become proud because of mystical power, can become angry, and lust, anger, and greed are the 3 gates to hell. So it's very easy to see, but Sudarshan makes everything visible. So when Sudarshan goes on its round, it destroys all that illusion, all that. So now, Hiraṇyākṣa जो है बिल्कुल भगवान के सामने प्रकट होता है। So he was like invisible at this time. जैसे ही सामने आता है, वो भगवान को अपने बाहू में पकड़ के उनको like squeeze करके उनको break करने की कोशिश करते हुए ऐसे कर रहा है। तो when he is holding, right, within his arms, Lord, and he's about to squeeze, but suddenly he sees Lord is not there. He's surprised. अरे अभी तो मेरे अपने बाहों में पकड़ा हुआ था। You are limited, right? When we are limited, how can we, bind the unlimited? He was thinking he can bind in his arms and squeeze and break the body of the Lord. तो ऐसे में जो unlimited उनको आप कैसे पकड़ सकते हो? It appeared to him like the Lord is outside his grip. He was shocked to see. Now this is an example where a devotee with love can bind the Lord. Yashoda Mai was able to bind Lord Kṛṣṇa with her love, right? With her devotion. Lord Kṛṣṇa, with his causeless mercy, allowed himself to be bound by the love of Yashoda Mai. So we hear about this pastime again. So that's why when we hear about killing of the demons, we are reminded of so many wonderful pastimes and so many wonderful lessons that we get from the Shastras. Just like when Indra had attacked Garun, so and Garun had given one of his wing, so that to honor the potency of Vajra. Now that is ये जो होता है युद्ध में, this is also one of the aspect that devotees they pay attention to, कि किसी चीज़ की महिमा है, उसकी महिमा को बिगाड़ना नहीं है, उसको रेस्पेक्ट देना है। जैसे ब्रह्मास्त्र, इंद्रजीत जब उसने देखा कि उसका जो एल्डर ब्रदर है अक्षय कुमार, ही इज किल्ड बाय हनुमान जी, तो he became desperate. हनुमान जी जब वहाँ पे अशोक वाटिका में उधम मचा रहे थे, right? He was destroying the trees to give the assurance to Sita Mai, don't think that we monkeys, ये जो हम वानर रूप है, हम राक्षसों पे भारी नहीं पड़ेंगे, मैं अकेला ही बहुत भारी पड़ूंगा. तो उस समय इंद्रजीत इतना उत्तेजित हो गया, he was so bewildered, he lost his composure, he took out brahmastra, he attacked, Hanuman ji with brahmastra. So at that time, हनुमान जी ने immediately realized कि ये तो ब्रह्मास्त्र है, इसके तो मेरे को, I have to respect. So when the brahmastra attacked him, he allowed himself to fall unconscious. Otherwise, by the mercy of the Lord, it is not possible. But devotees allow themselves. अब जब गरुण जी का इसमें purport में actually verse में description आया है that गरुण जी gives one of his wings. So this is from another story, which was again Kashyapa Muni also had two wives, Vinata and Kadru, and these two are again sisters. So again 13 of the Daksha's daughters, they were married to Kashyapa Muni. So these two sisters were always envious of one another, and it was by providence. Again, I'm not going to cover the whole story, that Kadru had made Vinita, had cheated her sister and made her slave. Now the snakes, 1,000 snakes are sons of them. Kaliya is also one of them. Even Vasuki is one of them. Ananta Shesh is one of them. So these are there, and so they say that if you get us Amrit to Garun, then we will let your mother go. So what happens is Garuji goes to the heavenly planets and he steals away. He takes away the pot of Amrit, nectar, pot of nectar from the demigods. And he's flying away. Indra, he attacks with his Vajra. And now Garunji, he knows that he can nullify the effect of Vajra. But then he says the glories of Vajra will go away. So he allows one of his wing to, be destroyed. So he allows. Now, after, still he is able to get away. And now Lord Vishnu is surprised. So he appears in front of Garud. And so there is a beautiful exchange between the Lord and Garud, where he says that I would like to ask for a boon. So Garud says, I will also like to ask for a boon. So Lord, he says, you become my Vahan. To mera Vahan ban jao. So Garudji agrees. Now he's such a powerful personality. He doesn't have to bow down, but he is also a devotee at his heart. तो भगवान को वाहन बनने को तैयार होते हैं. तो फिर उनकी दो शर्त होती हैं वरुण जी की. उन्होंने और विष्णु जी ने एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये भी कैसे उनसे प्रभावित हो गए. उन्होंने देखा कि गरुण जी के हाथ में अमृत है. उनका एक विंग डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया है, लेकिन वो अमृत पी के अपने आप को अमर नहीं बना रहे हैं. दिस इज व्हाट अट्रैक्ट्स. He did not consider to drink Amrit and regain his original form. He just wanted to do this purpose. And then विष्णु जी बोलते हैं कि ये इंद्र को वापस जाना चाहिए. तो बोलते हैं ठीक है. तो फिर अरेंज किया जाता है कैसे इंद्र वापस ले लेंगे. और जो नाग हैं, 1000 नागस, the sons of Kadru, they will not be able to taste Amrit and become immortal. तो वो कैसे अमर नहीं हो पाएंगे और इंद्र वापस कैसे चुरा लेंगे वहाँ से अमृत का कलश. इसका डिसीजन हो चुका होता है. अच्छा, और भगवान विष्णु ने उनको वाहन बनने को बोला, वो मान गए. उनकी दो शर्तें थी. उसके अंदर एक तो थी कि he will always be on the chariot above the Lord. So he is, जो भगवान का जो पताका है उस पे गरुड़ का निशान है. So everybody knows that Garuड़ is riding on the chariot of Lord Kṛṣṇa. ठीक है. तो to be able to get out of miserable conditions, a devotee just surrenders to the Lord. He doesn't take shelter of, even Amrit. Garunji could have taken. Even Parikshit Maharaj had this opportunity. Indra came in the middle of Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. He says, we will take Shukdev Goswami, he will recite Srimad Bhagavatam to us. I have come with a pot of Amrit, you drink this Amrit, nothing will happen when Takshak will bite you. And it's like a big interruption in middle of Katha. Devotees don't want this interruption. So Parikshit Maharaj simply, in a very submissive mood and smiling way, he lets, Indradev know that he doesn't need Amrit, because the true Amrit is in Srimad Bhagavatam Katha, that he is hearing from Shukdev Goswami. That would deliver us from this cycle of birth and death. That is true Amrit. So we get Amrit when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam Katha in disciplic succession. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So Shravanam is the most. Or Shavatam So Katha Kṛṣṇa Punya Shravan Kirtanaha. Yes. So as we in the invocation prayers we sing every day. So here this incident is where Lord, he is outside the grip. So now Hiraṇyākṣa, he and the Lord, he is hitting Lord with his fist, and Lord just gives him one slap. He goes whirling around and he falls. His eyes bulge out of his sockets, his limbs are parted, and he falls down dead. And now the demigods, following Lord Brahma, they come to worship the Lordship, that he has been victorious. They are making various kind of offerings, but they see that Hiraṇyākṣa, even though his body is slain, his body is glowing like golden, with he's not lost his luster, because he has been touched by the Lord. Lord Varahadev has touched him, and that touch is the cause that he is looking so glowing. Otherwise, when the living entity leaves the body becomes pale, it becomes unattractive. But here, he's biting his lips, so the demon is fallen onto the ground. And Lord Brahma is glorifying the death of Hiraṇyākṣa. Now, at the same time, right before he is slapped by the Lord, Diti, she remembered what her husband had said, that her two sons will be demons and they will be killed by the Lord himself. And she, remembering this, suddenly, from her breast, blood comes out. So Srila Prabhupada says that generally blood transforms into milk, and that's a miracle food that we get from the mother and also from the cows. That's why cow is also considered a mother. However, in her case, because she was thinking, and it was such a thought that, even though no mother wants the child to die, right? And so when she remembered that this is how my child is going to die, and she had known that Hiraṇyākṣa is looking for Lord Vishnu. So she knew, as soon as she remembered what her husband had said, that he will be killed by Lord Vishnu, the blood came out. So it could not transform into milk, which was an inauspicious occurring. And here Hiraṇyākṣa is dead, and now Lord Brahma and the demigods, they are glorifying. And when hearing this pastime from Maitreya Muni, and Maitreya Muni is saying that I heard it from my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada reveals in the purport that he had heard it from his spiritual master. So this is happening in parampara. So it is not that you hear it from a non-devotee. Sanatana Goswami warns that one should not hear Harikatha from a non-devotee, because that way it is like giving milk to a serpent, to a snake, and that will only increase the venom. And that is something that we should always be careful. And Srila Gaur Sundar, again, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that we should never hear, about Lord's glories from a Mayavadi, because वो सारा नाश हो जाता है, हमारी सारी भक्ति का नाश हो जाता है. And at the same time, we should be very respectful towards devotees. So even Hiraṇyākṣa is being glorified by Lord Brahma. Why? Because he and the demigods knew that Hiraṇyākṣa was actually, he's a pure devotee. In the influence of Yog Maya, he has been brought, being cursed by the sages, he took birth as a demon. But it's glorious to be killed by the hands of the Lord. भगवान किसी को आशीर्वाद देते हैं या किसी को सजा देते हैं, both are considered auspicious. किसी को punish कर रहे हैं, किसी को आशीर्वाद दे रहे हैं, both are considered auspicious, especially when it is anukula, it is favorable to Lord. Yes, the thought of a demon is not favorable, but to engage in that Veda rasa, in the fight, because Lord also wanted to enjoy the fight with his devotee, and that's why the devotee appeared as a demon, and they were engaged in this fight, which was very satisfying to the Lord. He was able to enjoy this Veda rasa, fighting in anger, fighting in krodh, and in amazement, and all these various rasas, secondary rasas, were mixed here. So this is where this particular chapter ends, and Maitreya Muni is saying that I heard it from my spiritual master, and hearing this narration of this pastime during the Chakshusha Manvantara, not in Swayambhu Manvantara, but in Chakshusha Manvantara, later on, when Chakshusha Manu was the administrator, this incident happened. Mahatma Vidu, he experienced jubilation, he experienced transcendental pleasure in his very being, right? तो उनका आभास हुआ कितना सुंदर वृतांत है, such merciful, because he is able to understand the feelings Lord is getting by this pastime, the feeling how he is blessing his devotee by killing him and taking him immediately back to Vaikuntha, because that's what Lord Vishnu was eager. जैसे जय विजय डोरकीपर्स को सजा मीन्स अगेन कर्स किया था, श्राप मिला था ये चतुर कुमार से, सनक सनातन सनंदन एंड सनत कुमार से. Lord said that they will very quickly return back because he was eager to get them back to Vaikuntha. So he got back Hiraṇyākṣa very quickly back. And of course we also know Hiraṇyākṣa also went back when Lord appeared as Nrsimhadev. So here we hear so many wonderful, wonderful pastimes where we understand the lessons. And what is important is to understand that all our material miseries, they are superfluous, yet at the same time, just by hearing. So there is a blessing in this chapter. In the very last purport of this chapter, Srila Prabhupada is revealing that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended 5 items of devotional service. What is this? Serving the devotees of the Lord, right? So, Bhagwan ke jo bhakt hain, unke jo shuddh bhakt hain, unki unko serve karna, which includes sadhus and spiritual master. And then second is to chant the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Third is to hear SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, Shratam Sokatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. So hearing SRIMADBHAGAVATAM is also where even a neophyte, jo naya person hota hai, he can experience, he can taste the love of Godhead. So these are the blessings. And then the fourth is to do deity worship. And when we read SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, Lord Kṛṣṇa is revealing that we are worshipping him by our intelligence. When we read Bhagavad Gita, the 70th verse, he is saying that one who reads Bhagavad Gita, one who studies this, Bhagavad Gita, then he is worshipping him by intelligence. So we are worshipping Lord by intelligence when we are, studying Bhagavad Gita, SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And last but not the least is to live in a place of pilgrimage like Vrindavan, Mathura and so forth. And wherever there is SRIMADBHAGAVATAM is literary incarnation of God, also sometimes referred to as it is also referred to as Shruti Shastra. So Shruti refers to, by hearing, right? So it is also an incarnation, sound incarnation of Lord. And so wherever there is SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, it automatically becomes a place of worship, a dham, a place where we are reading SRIMADBHAGAVATAM daily and we are coming. So again, everyone who's coming to Bhagavad Gita class, they are automatically getting all 5 benedictions and they can experience the love of Godhead, which is the goal of our life. And simply by following this process, we can get out of the miserable conditions of this material life and we can transcend the material modes and experience transcendental bliss. So these are the blessings that are appearing in this chapter. So please continue to engage in hearing SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, worshipping Lord's glories and remembering him always. Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Lord Kṛṣṇa says, always think of me, worship me, pay obeisances to me and become my devotee. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So this is where this chapter ends. Any question or comments, please share. Kantra SRIMADBHAGAVATAM ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Prabhu ji, for the wonderful lessons. आज की क्लास से हमें बहुत सारे इंसाइट्स मिले हैं, इंक्लूडिंग नाउ वी हैव ए रियली गुड आइडिया. हम सब ये मिजरेबल कंडीशंस हैं जो लाइफ की, इनसे हम कैसे मुक्ति पा सकते हैं और हम कैसे भगवान की सेवा में एंगेज कर सकते हैं इन अ प्रॉपर मूड विद द हेल्प ऑफ साधु संगा. सो प्रभु जी, एक अनाउंसमेंट है. डियर व्यूअर्स, अगर आपके इस वक्त जो भी क्वेश्चंस हों प्लीज़ कमेंट्स में टाइप कर दीजिए. आई कैन रीड देम टू प्रभु जी. मीनवाइल प्रभु जी, हाउ मेनी मिनट्स डू वी हैव?
We have 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. Hare Krishna. So Prabhu ji, I do not see any questions right now, पर एक क्वेश्चन नॉर्मली सब वंडर करते हैं. उसके बारे में अगर आप कुछ इंसाइट देंगे, क्योंकि आपने 5 पोटेंट फॉर्म्स ऑफ डिवोशनल सर्विस के बारे में टुवर्ड्स द एंड कहा, तो उसमें चैंटिंग के बारे में नॉर्मली सभी इंटरेस्टेड होते हैं. बहुत सारी सोल्स, बहुत सारे न्यू डिवोटीज़ जब शुरू में आते हैं और चैंटिंग में उनको इंटरेस्ट डेवलप होता है तो परेशान भी होते हैं कि डिस्ट्रैक्शंस भी हो रहे हैं, लेकिन हम चैंट कर रहे हैं, अपने एफर्ट्स डालते हैं टू गेट द मर्सी ऑफ भगवान. लेकिन कई बार पूछते हैं कि हम 16 माला क्यों चैंट करें, 16 माला चैंट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. तो इसके बारे में आप ऐसा क्या बता सकते हैं जिससे सभी को मोटिवेशन आए, इंस्पिरेशन आए?
Hare Krishna. Actually, sometimes people do ask this particular aspect कि 16 rounds minimum क्यों है? Srila Prabhupada, by his mercy, he changed the detail. The principle is still same that you have to chant. But he said, well, when he said 64 rounds to chant, his disciples said they cannot do that. When he said 32, they said they cannot even do 32 rounds. So this is in this particular condition, in this Kali age, people are in such a fallen state, it's very difficult. Yet at the same time, when he said 16, and then he said, and no less. So minimum 16 rounds every day is that you must chant for our benefit, then we get Srila Prabhupada's protection. Otherwise we are without his protection. And actually his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, he used to say that if one is not chanting 64 rounds, that is fallen. So again, that is our state from a grand...
1 minute, Prabhuji, I forgot to put the microphone. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Again, so Srila Prabhupada, he changed the detail, which is like from 64 rounds, he made it 16. Now and he said minimum 16, you cannot go below that. And it is not that someone else will come and say, okay, 4 is okay, and then maybe 1 is okay. No, the perspective is that we have to chant minimum 60 rounds so that we can afterwards get the, we realize how sweet the chanting is, so that we can develop the taste and can chant 1600 rounds easily without having. So 16 rounds, that's the minimum to develop the taste. Yes, we are inflicted with this jaundice, the material disease. And so the sweet candy, right, like sweet candy, the names are very sweet. They're transcendentally sweet. But we cannot experience it because we are materially inflicted by jaundice, right? So, yeah, just like Srila Rupa Goswami says, so ऐसे में we have to take to the practice. So a jaundice patient is given, ganne ka juice or sweet candy, has to take it so that in due course of time they can taste. Because in the beginning, the ganne ka juice or the sweet candy it tastes bitter. Because it's not because the ganne ka juice or the sweet candy is bitter, it is very sweet. But to a diseased person it appears bitter. But we should take it as prescription to our heart कि हमारे फेवर में है, तो हमें मिनिमम 16 राउंड्स चैंट करना चाहिए. And that way we'll get that traction, because when somebody says where in the Shastras it is given, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is saying, Kirtaniya Sadahari, chant 24 hours a day, right? Constantly. So again, well, we cannot do it constantly, but we should minimum 16 rounds should be chanted, so that we come to the stage of Kirtaniya Sadahari. We should glorify the Lord all the time. That is the response. Hopefully this answers the question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That was very interesting and humorous too. So, dear devotees, hopefully Prabhuji ने जो insight दिया about chanting, we should try our best. Srila Prabhupada ने भी बहुत emphasis दिया है कि खाना पीना और सोना बाद में. पहले we have to take the shelter of the holy names, अगर हमें चाहिए protection भगवान का. All right. So प्रभु जी, रश्मि शर्मा जी का क्वेश्चन है. एक्चुअली मुझे भूल गया था, इन्होंने क्लास के शुरू में ही क्वेश्चन पूछा था. So I am going to say that from the comments. इन्होंने बोला है, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, In Gita it says धर्म के लिए fight is the only option अगर पाप बढ़ गया है. अब one particular mazhab is trying to destroy Sanatan Dharma in many countries, even in India. Then a Sanatani has to fight. Because God himself doesn't fight. Like Krishna said to Arjun, then you need to fight and I will be your Sarthi. Same way, if someone is suppressing us for our dharma, then we need to stand for it because this particular mazhab believes in destroying us. What is your take on it? ये पहले उन्होंने लिखा था क्लास से पहले और उसके बाद अभी एंड में इन्होंने रिपीट करते हुए फर्दर ये कहा है कि लाइक यति महाराज जी फ्रॉम दशना फाइटिंग for our dharma and we should support him. We are even struggling to get our temples back in India. We lost our Sanatani land to these mazhab, Afghan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and now they want the whole India, the only place left for Hindus. They don't understand peace. So, ऐसे में ये जानना चाहते हैं, what should we as Bhakti Marg वाले do? We can't win with them with argument because they believe in killing. So Krishna told us to fight at the end to protect dharma. So what should we do? And actually approach कैसी होनी चाहिए? So Prabhu ji, I will put on the microphone. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting question, Rashmi ji. Yes. So again, the fight is there. Again, weekend warriors, sometimes we say the spiritual warriors, we use the word. His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj has written 3 books or 4 books on the spiritual warrior. So again, we should be a spiritual warrior, but we don't need weapons of this material world. We have transcendental weapons, which are the chanting of the holy name, the scriptures, the glorification of the Lord. And yes, you have this point that, they want to take away the temple. Now we also understand from the Shastra that once a temple is destroyed, the deities, they leave the temple, right? And so it is that जो प्राण प्रतिष्ठा वगैरह करते हैं, तो ऐसे में we also have to understand that deities won't just come back to the same temple. Rather, what kind of message are we spreading? Just because someone else is spreading hatred, should we support the hatred? No. We should always be supporting the love of Godhead. Love wins all. That is a very important aspect. And in current times, so many devotees, they have established their houses as temples, right? We have a temple room in our house and then we worship the deities. So first is charity begins at home. Is every house a temple? Because that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that at every village, every town, every state, his name will be glorified. So every village, every town, if there is a residence, every house becomes a residence of Lord. What can these people do? They're just trying to create, they are trying to identify some buildings and they are saying, oh, we want, temples to be established. And also politicians are using the emotions of general populace to drive them in this direction. First is, if we establish temples in our houses, there is no need to go in this way. Yes, Srila Prabhupada established temples because he was trying to get all these young boys and girls, they didn't have any place to come and take shelter, become residents and take to Bhakti Yoga. So yes, there will be temples and there are so many temples coming up. Even today we can see, there's so many temples we see in India coming up. Just our Guru Maharaj established like 9 or 10 temples in New Delhi area itself. And then there are constantly temples coming up. But again, they're coming up with the mood of love, to spread the message of peace, to spread the message of Godhead. So again, Bhagavad Gita, SRIMADBHAGAVATAM, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we should be referring to the scriptures so that we understand. It's like, okay, we are doing it externally. Because I have seen so many people, they're like saying, oh, hum Hindu hai, hame Hinduo ka temple karna hai. Aur uske baad mein they turn around and then they are smoking and drinking tea and coffee and they are having illicit sex and then they are engaged in meat eating. So they engaged in all kind of sinful activities. Wahan dharm ka unko disturbance nahi aa raha hai. So first is to follow regulative principles. Offer everything that we eat first to the Lordship and only accept his remnants. Take to the Sanatan Dharma means it is the mood of a devotee, all living entities are eternal servant. That is Sanatan Dharma. When it's an eternal enemy of other dharma, no. It's just that in material consciousness, someone else is provoking, and these are all two political parties. They are just making people fight, and they're just enjoying, and they take on the leadership position, hiding behind all these young, innocent populace, making so many bloodshed scenarios and creating so many crises. Rather, we should be intelligent. That's why we have to first become humble, tolerant, and show by our own example that we are in the mood of spreading the message of love, not the message of hatred. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he in his pastime already set that example. Nityananda Prabhu, when he approached Jagai and Madhai, they threw a liquor pot and hurt Nityananda Prabhu. The blood was oozing out from his forehead. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invoked his Sudarshan Chakra, what did Nityananda Prabhu said? My dear Lord, you have appeared in his golden Patita Pavan avatar. You cannot create anyone. We have to destroy the evil thoughts, the evil mindset, not the bodies. So that is the message we hear in this Kali age. It is not the destruction of the body, it is the destruction of the demoniac behavior that needs to be curbed and destroyed. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers your question.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, we have about 2 more questions. Sure. Do we have some time? Okay. So Rashmi ji ने further 2 questions पूछे हैं. रश्मि जी पूछ रही हैं, how can I spread a message of love to the mob who is coming to kill me and rape me? How can I save myself from them? और इसके बाद चित्रा जी का एक question on chanting.
Hare Krishna. This is where devotee association comes in. First, we have to surrender and surround ourselves with devotees, and they create the boundary. When our Bhakti Lata, our garden is there, so they provide us protection. So in the company of devotees, we take shelter. Instead of trying to, count on and also getting provoked by others, we should understand, are the people who are saying Dharma Sankat mein hai, are they themselves really spreading the message of love, or are they just provoking general populace? And again, there are a lot of, even during World War II, Srila Prabhupada, he was honoring Prasadam, and his friends were running around and they were saying, well, the German planes are here, they are going to destroy. But Srila Prabhupada, he took shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa, of his spiritual master, and the Sadhu Sangha, and he was safe. And again, when coming to a Jalduta, he actually got 2 heart attacks, right? Yet at the same time, he took shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. In our lives itself, many calamities have come, and we have just taken shelter of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and we have seen that he protects. And yes, we have also seen how people try to provoke you, even against a devotee. Again, sometimes we see that, okay, we are thinking a person is a devotee and they are blaspheming Lord Shiva. So again, we understand that this person is very neophyte at this particular stage, because Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu, he is the topmost Vaishnava. How can you blaspheme Vaishnava? That also Nama Prad, right? We should never blaspheme Vaishnava. So again, you have to, that's why we take shelter of Sadhu Guru and Shastra and stay aligned. Then you can spread message instead of finding excuses to go outside this paradigm. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा. रश्मि जी, होपफुली आपको पॉइंटर्स मिल गए हैं. प्रभु जी ने आपको काफ़ी सजेशंस दिए हैं, इंसाइट्स दिए हैं, और इस पर हम घंटों घंटों बैठ कर डिस्कशन कर सकते हैं, लेकिन हमें एसेंस लेना है मैसेजेस का, एंड वी हैव टू टेक शेल्टर ऑफ साधु गुरु एंड शास्त्र. हरे कृष्णा. चित्रा जी का क्वेश्चन है, प्रभु जी, डू वी हैव फ्यू मिनट्स? ओके. चित्रा जी ने पूछा था, हरे कृष्णा, बट इनिशियली वी कैन स्टार्ट विथ 3 or 4 and then gradually increase.
Yes.
चित्रा जी बात कर रही हैं, आपने जो 16 माला का इंसाइट दिया था उसके बारे में.
The more we hear, the more we learn.
So further उन्होंने कहा, as right away it may be not easy to chant 2 hours for 16 rounds, as one also has to get up early by 5 a.m. That comes with the effort and practice. तो शुरू में जब किसी को आदत नहीं है 16 माला करने की, तो उसके बारे में वो टिप्स चाहती हैं कि आर देयर एनी टिप्स और सजेशंस फ्रॉम यू प्रभु जी फॉर दोज हु कैन नॉट डू 16 माला राइट अवे. प्रभु जी, लेट मी पुट ऑन माइक्रोफोन.
Chitra ji, very important question. So again, there are various tips that are being used by devotees. One is, of course, trying to get up early, because early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. And sometimes when we say this, Sometimes ladies object, what happens to the ladies? No, it means both. Everyone becomes healthy, wealthy and wise. So our wealth is spiritual wealth, which is Nama Japa, right? By doing Nam Japa. And yes, it does take practice. And sometimes people realize that actually, cha cha vahara, where there is will, there is a way. So they start doing, what they start doing is that we can always give 15-16 minutes, before we are about to eat our food. And it brings us with the right consciousness as well. So before eating, before honoring prasadam, devotees, in the beginning of their life, they say, okay, I'll do one japa in the beginning. Before every time I sit down to eat, I'll do one japa and then I'll eat. Now the two things happen which are very positive. First is you got to do an extra japa and it didn't take much time because 7 to 8 minutes everyone can give, maybe 10 minutes if you're doing it slowly. And then you're in the right consciousness to honor the prasadam, right? So with that right consciousness, it spiritually nourishes you, whatever you are eating, because you're in the right consciousness. We should never hurry when we are eating, honoring prasadam, right? So at that time, it actually helps us both ways. So twice the effect. And this way, if you are eating 3 or 4 times a day, before that you get extra 1 round every time. So you got extra 4 rounds added on. Sometimes devotees, they also say, okay, now that I am doing this, maybe I can make 2 rounds before eating. Or before going to sleep, I can do 2 rounds and then increase it to 4 rounds. Which actually enables us when we are chanting, and we should chant with the right mood, in a mood of servitude. Please engage me in your service, my dear father and mother, Shishi Radha Kṛṣṇa. With that mood, when you chant, your mind, you are constantly meditating on the Lord, His name, form, activities, pastimes, which is recommended by the Acharyas. So when we are remembering this way, when we go to sleep, all night we have a very peaceful, pleasant, sweet sleep, and we are dreaming about the Lord's name, form, activities, pastimes, which actually nourishes us spiritually overnight. When we get up in the morning, we feel more energized to engage in devotional service. And always remember that the preparation of next morning starts the evening before, not the night before, evening before. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers your question.
हरे कृष्णा चित्रा जी. सो प्रभु जी ने काफ़ी इंसाइट्स दिए हैं हाउ वी कैन ग्रेजुअली बिल्ड अप, स्पेशली जो न्यू डिवोटीज या न्यू चैंटर्स होते हैं, वो किस तरीके से अपना चैंटिंग इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं, उसमें टेस्ट डेवलप कर सकते हैं और ज़्यादा एब्जॉर्ब हो सकते हैं. और प्रभु जी, at this point, there is a big question from Rashmi ji, but I think we are running against time. So Rashmi ji, please bring your question again tomorrow in the next Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you everyone for your participation today. Prabhu ji, thank you very much for the wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Tatva Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.